of Utah and New Mexico. Even worse, parts of Oregon and Nevada are in exceptional drought.
We are encouraging people to do the common sense things.
Last summer, California Governor Gavin Newsom called on residents to cut their water consumption.
A 15% voluntary reduction, not only on residences, but industrial, commercial operations, and agricultural operations.
Now the governor is urging local leaders to institute bans on watering grass near commercial and industrial buildings. But for residential areas, no mandatory cuts for now.
We may really see some mandatory water restrictions in place by the summertime.
And Secretary Crowfoot pointing out that those reliably wet winters that we used to get in California, say 50 or 100 years ago, are just not something we should bank on any longer. And therefore, he says that residents in California and throughout the West really do need to change the relationship with water and learn to use less. Stephanie Elam, CNN, near Lake Tahoe.
Inside Africa, in association with Zenith Bank.
Made in Africa by Africans. These are the latest trends to show the world. Designers cut from a different cloth, whose clothes and accessories have their own stories to tell.
I love color, I love texture, and I love making happy clothes. I want my clothes to speak of joy.
From haute couture to sustainable designs, each reflects the pride for country, continent, and culture.
I think now, especially the young crowd here, are really buying into what the new African narrative is.
These are the fashionistas redefining what it means to be an African creative. This is Inside Africa. They say home is where the heart is. And for many upstart business owners, it's often where the work is as well.
Welcome to the house of Lari Rani. Let's go. Right, living room / working room, sewing machine where the magic happens. Messy magic, but magic all the less. My kids would hate me if I didn't mention their amazing artwork. Often the source of my inspiration. Love the colors and the texture.
Shamaira Mudley is a force of nature.
What's cooking? Always something in this house. Looking good. Lunch is on its way.
More specifically, the charismatic and engaging personality is the mind and hands behind sustainable fashion design brand Lani Rani.
What is this Lani Rani? Well, Lani in South Africa, it's a colloquial term in Afrikaans, and it means boss. And then Rani in Sanskrit means queen. It's a boss, queen. It's a girl who's bold and brave and, you know, someone who carves out their own destiny, and she goes for it all in.
Raised in Durban, South Africa, but now based in Cape Town, Shamaira is largely self-taught. Designing was a hobby she had while building a corporate career.
I'm an accountant and a mom who was sitting on a couch one day and came up with a brilliant idea and thought, let me just give this a go.
2 years ago, she created a skirt out of a sackcloth and a bodice from an old breastfeeding bra. She wore it to a fashion show where it caught the eye of a prominent British fashion critic.
So it's been a series of OMG moments all the time, from like meeting Susie Menkes and just from being a spectator in the audience to ultimately getting to participate in the competition and being part of a runway show.
Fast forward to October 2021, the Sandton district of Johannesburg, where Shamaira's debut runway experience is moments away.
So there's an electric atmosphere, there's a buzz, there's people running around, there's clothes flying everywhere, there's makeup being brushed all around. It's a bit of a whirlwind, but I'm so super centered.
She was there as a finalist from African Fashion International's Fast Tracker program, a year-long competition for emerging talent. The brief for this element was to create 7 looks to fit the theme of sustainability.
We're about to step on the runway. We are at the AFI Grand Finale. There's a sense of relief, a sense of purpose, and a sense of passion that's about to come into play. I am ecstatic.
Not one to sit idle, while she awaited the results of the competition, Shamira kept on dreaming and designing.
So where do I see myself? How about Paris, Milan, Lagos, I think Moscow, Russia? Who will have me? I have a collection waiting upstairs. The what I showed for AFI was just really at the tip of the iceberg. I would love to share this with the rest of the world. There's a lot to see, hurry up. Right now I'm busy updating my website, so soon you'll be able to buy directly from me. This is how it all kind of started, and this is what Susie kind of spotted. And this is t-shirt yarn that I have woven into some hessian, and we've hand-stitched this on to the shoes. Color, texture, everything I love in any garment. This is a Persian rug, a scrappy little piece that was left over, and it kind of works perfectly as the clutch bag. Then I've tried my hand at men's shoes. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get my husband in a pair of these. But a girl can try. So this is my prototype of a clutch bag. Again, using the remnant stock t-shirt yarn, you're all hand woven. And if you look inside here, that's actually cabling. So a cord that I've upcycled to use as a pretty strong base as a handle. So there you have it. Made in Africa, made in the house of Lani Rani.
In early January 2022, the news became public. Shamira Mudley was named the AFI Fast Track Young Designer 2021.
Do you know, it hasn't really sunk in as yet. I haven't had a moment to actually come to terms with winning. All a little bit overwhelming and such an incredible experience, which I'm so grateful for. Winning was literally the icing on the cake. I think the cash will help me act with pace, and you know, the award has opened so many doors already. For me, I would love to employ as many people as I can. 50,000 would allow me to start that process. Today I sit here and I kind of know what I want. I know what my future should look like in terms of, you know, my family and where I want to see fashion going. But for the first time ever, fashion might represent something that has the potential to impact all of our future. You know, it's to leave a lasting positive legacy. And that legacy will come from the only way that I think is possible, and it's through sustainable fashion. And all of us to start being innovative and kind of making a change for the better.
Thinking of banking in Africa? Think Zenith. In today's fast-moving, fast-changing world, you need a financial partner that understands your unique expectations. A bank with presence in major financial centers across the world, with the enabling platform to facilitate seamlessly, whenever, wherever, however. A bank with best-in-class financial solutions from a superb combination of technology and human touch for easy, fast, and secure banking that creates real value. Turning dreams into reality is now in your hands. People, technology, service. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
Today, Russia's Ukraine invasion and a strong man's grip on power. A former oligarch gives Fareed his take on the sentiment in Russia. Could this unprovoked war be Putin's downfall? Fareed Zakaria, GPS. Today.
In China, no wallet, no problem. Here, using an app on your phone to make purchases is an everyday practice. The industry so far has been dominated by private companies. That could soon change. China's new digital currency, known as the e-yuan, made headlines at the Winter Olympic Games, a centralized virtual form of currency that can be used just like money across the country.
I think the rollout at the Beijing Olympics is designed in some ways to show the flag internationally.
Other parts of the world have similar ambitions. The European Central Bank announced plans to create a digital version of the euro, aiming to achieve this milestone by 2026. The United States, the world's biggest economy, is currently in the research phase of its own digital dollar, but will not yet proceed, citing concerns around financial stability and privacy.
So welcome to my space. This is the Sisiano studio in Lekki, Lagos, and yeah, the clothes are here. As a creative, I've never done anything from the beginning because I was passionate about it.
Looking at Paolo Sisiano, it's hard to believe that's true. The Nigerian-Italian designer, artist, and dancer exudes creativity. But getting into fashion was all about the business, at least at first.
When I started fashion, it wasn't, this is something I'm passionate about. It was, this is something that I need to transition into to be able to sustain myself. So it was about selling clothes. It wasn't about creating art yet. If you put time into something long enough, you tend to fall in love with it. I've always loved art. I was born into a family of artists. When I started painting, I wanted something that was unique to me. Expression is based off of where you are and where you're coming from. And I like that when I look at the different aspects that I have and I've been blessed with, I see me. Growing up, I was very sure I was going to be on TV, like on the screen.
But after a few disappointments, that's when he discovered the art form that would inspire him to bring something different to the Nigerian fashion scene.
I have a dance background, contemporary major. I was doing costume design in dance, and it was because we didn't have the right costumes. So my love for fashion design was created from dance. And that's why if you see the garments, it's really a reflection of movements. You know the way the ocean moves around? That's the whole idea with the brand.
Homegrown platforms have taken Paolo's brand beyond the country's borders.
I was, first of all, seen on Lagos Fashion Week in 2013. I went on to show every single year afterwards. I got on Vogue, I went for International Fashion Showcase in London, I went to South Africa for a show, and each time I was out of the space, which is Lagos, Nigeria, I felt like it was so empowering.
Supermodel Naomi Campbell agrees that leaving the nest can be a good thing, especially for young designers.
Each time you do something is an experience that carries with you, that makes you stronger, that makes you wiser, that makes you know something more about fabrics or how things are done. You know, you travel, if you can go to different countries and learn about a different culture that inspires you.
While Naomi and Paolo advocate for inclusivity across the industry, Paolo notes African designers still need to exercise a bit of caution.
We need to be sure as to who we are, because the international space is always trying to create a narrative for us, whereby we should be sending a narrative. I am a generation that is a mix. So we travel, we see things, well, online, you can be inspired by anything. To now want to box that in, to say it should be indigenous, we kind of defeat the purpose of looking inward.
In the future, Paolo plans to build on his past in order to create a legacy of his own.
The one person that always inspires me would have to be Vivian, my mom. I grew up with an extremely fashionable black woman living in the middle of Rome. She had carved out something that was personal to her. And that's how I built Sisiano. It's really been about presenting something that no one else was doing. The future for Paolo would be very simple. It would be about finding and staying in the space of happiness. Everything I do with love, with love, with love.
Thinking of banking in Africa? Think Zenith. In today's fast-moving, fast-changing world, you need a financial partner that understands your unique expectations. A bank with presence in major financial centers across the world, with the enabling platform to facilitate seamlessly, whenever, wherever, however. A bank with best-in-class financial solutions from a superb combination of technology and human touch for easy, fast and secure banking that creates real value. Turning dreams into reality is now in your hands. People, technology, service. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
I would describe One World as compelling, inclusive, and original.
One World with Zain Asher, weeknights on CNN.
Ugandan Faith Aweko and her team are busy sorting through trash, looking for a very specific and all too prevalent discarded item.
We are picking plastic bags that is going to be washed. So this is still plastic waste that is being sorted from here to the buckets that we are going to wash.
From here, they will be transformed into waterproof designer purses and book bags.
This is 500 kilograms of plastic, and in each kilogram of plastic is 30 plastic bags, and we use 15 plastic bags per bag. So after washing and drying it, we bring it over here and we heat press between 7 to 8 plastic bags to come up with a sustainable material like this. And we need 2 of these to make a bag.
Faith isn't creating these bags out of a love for fashion per se. She's doing it more out of a love for her country. That was the motivation to start Reform Africa, a social enterprise that tackles waste pollution in low-income areas around Kampala.
Reform Africa envisions to transform Africa's waste into wealth. We upcycle plastic polythene waste bags, known as the Kavera. Personally, I'm passionate about sustainability, I'm passionate about recycling, looking at how plastic has a vast effect on the environment. So I really wanted to create that change. Growing up from the slum areas, of course, exposed me to a lot of life experiences. And one of something that was profound was really the flooding. The waste management companies could not really reach out to the deep areas in the slums because of the poor roads. So we would dispose the waste in the trenches, and this caused recurring flooding. If it's night and it rains in the night, we have to spend the whole night draining water out of the houses, and going to school was really hard.
According to the United Nations Central Emergency Response Fund, from September to December 2019, more than 300,000 Ugandans were affected by heavy rains, which caused devastating flooding, landslides, and windstorms. About 2,000 of them were left looking for refuge, something Faith knows all too well.
That is basically the life I lived in, and I thought maybe I would turn these past experiences into something useful to create a change. I grew up in one of the slum areas in Uganda, and every time...
In 2019, Reform Africa was recognized in her home country, garnering Uganda's Social Impact Award for their upcycled school and designer bags. In 2020, the International Monetary Fund took notice, choosing her as a youth voice. And Faith says, even though sales have slowed down because of the pandemic, their production value has continued to increase.
We started by producing over 50 bags per month to now over 300 bags per month. We have over 8 shops that retail our bags in both Europe and America, and here in Uganda we have 5 shops.
She also discovered a new passion, which led to a new product as well.
You have your indoor plant, you place it in there so it looks beautiful. My planters are made from recycled plastic, the plastic that we use for making the backpacks and different accessories.
She also relies heavily on one of her favorite hobbies for additional inspiration.
I love to go to the gym. I go 3 times in a week, or work out here at home. And to me, fitness has helped me boost my confidence and has given me strength. And it has also helped me to really be consistent in life.
But when it comes to staying motivated, the energetic entrepreneur doesn't need to look very far.
What keeps me going is knowing that the livelihood of my team entirely depends on the success of the business. So that really gives me energy that the business is providing employment for the marginalized women and the youth, and also myself.
Thinking of banking in Africa? Think Zenith. In today's fast-moving, fast-changing world, you need a financial partner that understands your unique expectations. A bank with presence in major financial centers across the world, with the enabling platform to facilitate seamlessly, whenever, wherever, however. A bank with best-in-class financial solutions from a superb combination of technology and human touch for easy, fast, and secure banking that creates real value. Turning dreams into reality is now in your hands. People, technology, service. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
You can help the refugees from Ukraine. Join the over 70,000 who've already raised millions for food, shelter, and more. Explore cnn.com/impact. Click to take action.
At La Fondation Donwahi, an art gallery, restaurant and lounge in Abidjan, DJ Leke provides some atmospheric background music for the early evening dinner crowd. Better known for his day job as the founder and art director of fashion label Kente Gentleman, DJing is something Aristide Loa does mostly for fun. But his passion for creating and being creative is fast becoming an attractive path to follow for youth across the continent.
I think now, especially the young crowd here on the continent, are really buying into what the new African narrative is, because they're actually building the new African narrative, and they're able to buy into, you know, the music that we're making, the fashion that we're making, the arts that we're making.
It was 2016, after 10 years abroad and obtaining a degree in actuarial science in the US, that the self-proclaimed math nerd was feeling homesick and decided to return to the Ivory Coast and become a maker himself.
When I came back home, I discovered there's like a multitude of textiles that I could be working with, like the Kente fabric, for example, the Bauli fabric, the Sinifo fabric, things that were part of the heritage of the craftsmanship of back home, instead of the wax print being made in the Netherlands, for example. So I was going down to the market looking for Bauli fabrics, and this lady told me like, hey, there's this village where you can find the best fabrics out there. And I was like, okay, let's do it.
Traveling by bus, bush taxi and motorcycle, he made it to a small village that, according to the locals, makes the best woven fabrics.
And when I get there, I see lines of people just making it, the woodwork going back and forth, the threads being like thin, the color being mixed together. It was just such a beautiful first day experience.
Kente Gentleman released its first collection in April 2017 and has since gone global.
I want every single piece of clothing to tell a story, and I think that connected with a lot of people, especially a lot of people that have a different narrative of what the African continent looks like. So with our pieces, that was quite aesthetically pleasing to the locals here, but also to people in Paris, in London, New York.
In 2021, Aristide was accepted into a mentorship program at the prominent Paris fashion school, the Institut Français de la Mode.
They selected about 10 brands, and for us it's been an honor because, you know, we're quite young, we're only 4 years old. So it was very interesting, you know, getting together with so many creatives from the continent, you know, sharing ideas, getting to know what it's like to build a fashion brand, especially on a global scale.
And in 2022, things continue to look up for Kente Gentlemen. Aristide says they will make their first appearance at Paris Fashion Week, thanks to the support of the ethical fashion initiative's Designer Accelerator, which the label recently joined.
Yeah, I think it's a real asset for us, especially under the sponsorship of the EFI Accelerator program. So I think for us to be present there, it's going to be a vital step, you know, into building a global brand. Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour.
But for now, there is still plenty of work to put in on the home front, where today Aristide has a meeting to review a current in-store lineup and show off what's new.
So right now we're at Abbey Concept, a luxury fashion store here in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. It's very important for us to have a space like this to accommodate different designers from the continent and also different designers from here, Côte d'Ivoire.
The designer believes that presenting his clothing line in a tangible fashion like this is equally important to other platforms.
So we're trying to, you know, be present in different stores so people can get a feel of what the brand is about, touch the product, and then buy into the vision.
We love the idea of tradition being shaped into new, modern forms and in everyday lives outfits. When I selected Aristide for the place, I believe that I wanted men to discover another kind of suits, you know, kind of maybe more relaxed than the usual Western suits.
I think right now Africa is hot, Africa is trendy, Africa is sexy, so it's very important for us to showcase what Africa is really about, using the local craftsmanship, using the local talent.
For the young fashion entrepreneur, all the encouragement he needs to keep moving forward is found right here in the Ivory Coast. It's where his family home is, the same home that doubles as his design studio, for now.
I love this space, it's quite intimate and personal for us, but given the attention that we are gathering and the demand that's growing, and eventually this is going to surpass the capacity that we have here.
It's where he can quickly grab his brother and a friend for an impromptu photo shoot. And where he walks the street of Abidjan daily, drawing inspiration from his neighborhood and the vibrant city that he calls home. Locally inspired, continentally aware.
People are really buying into what's happening here on the continent, and I think it's just a matter of time until we start growing and start writing the narrative and changing the mindset to make sure that we start consuming what's made here.
Inside Africa, in association with Zenith Bank.
Hosting a global event like the FIFA World Cup 2022 in Qatar is a complex logistical challenge. GWC are proud to be its official logistics provider. No matter the industry sector, logistical challenge, or security need, GWC deliver the complete end-to-end logistics service, backed up by more than 3 million square meters of supply chain infrastructure. GWC, delivering logistics innovation.
As Ukraine fights back against Russia, what is Putin's next move? Secretary of State Antony Blinken and NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg join Dana Bash, plus Governor Larry Hogan. Can his party win the midterms? State of the Union, today on CNN.
There were 3 strikes that hit this facility. This is as close as you're going to get.
Just look at the utter destruction caused by this massive explosion. Imagine the good fortune of the truck driver. He managed to survive.
More than a month into the war here in Ukraine, and the refugee crisis continues.
It is not even remotely close to being a ceasefire.
In Kiev, Kherson, Zaporizhzhia, Lviv, this is CNN.
Our mission here at CNN, the news comes first.
More breaking news that we are following right now. Welcome to the Situation Room. We have breaking news.
Business is all about making connections. But some connections are easier to make than others. With a CNN partner hotel, the world is always at your fingertips. CNN partner hotels, connected to your world.
This is CNN.
Connecting Africa in association with Afrexim Bank.
Expo 2020 Dubai. 6 months of events, meetings and forums. And for the first time in the World Fair's history, every African nation was represented. Thousands of African CEOs and entrepreneurs descended upon Dubai to discuss possible deals, partnerships and investments. They were connecting.
We want to expand across Africa and become a Pan-African company.
Networking.
I think it's a great environment.
And tapping into the continent's vast potential.
Africans are opening the doors more to other Africans.
Welcome to the special edition of Connecting Africa. I'm Eleni Jokas here at Expo 2020 Dubai. It's a place where African leaders have come to meet and connect and to further talk about intra-Africa trade and how they can integrate the continent further. Now, the connections and the meetings that have happened here at Expo could have positive ramifications for the continent for months and years to come.
At Expo 2020 Dubai, there's been much pomp and pageantry, where each of the 192 countries had their own special moment. A national day where they got a chance to showcase their history, culture and economy. Among them was the African Union. The African Union promotes political and economic development across Africa. Today, it showcased the flagship Agenda 2063, an ambitious plan to transform the continent into a global powerhouse.
The value is networking opportunities, business and trade negotiations that can take place here at the Expo amongst African business people. I think the Expo is very, very helpful in that regard.
And just over a year ago, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement went live and it's in full implementation phase. And it's here at Expo 2020 Dubai, where all 55 African countries had an opportunity to discuss trade integration.
Africa is the second largest continent after Asia. Here at Expo, organizers say all 55 African countries have come together in an area the size of 600 football pitches, an opportunity to meet frequently and discuss business.
We want to see trade and investment transactions being initiated between African countries. These are the discussions that are happening as we speak. And that's really what we want to see as an outcome.
And each country is making their presence known. Among traditional dances and scenes of celebrations, Kenya's National Day brought to Dubai a top-tier delegation. President Uhuru Kenyatta, ministers, CEOs, all here to promote Kenya's potential as an East African business hub.
Kenya sees itself as continuing to maintain and cement the relationships with the region, but it is actively looking at other markets, both within the continent and also outside. We have showcased our agricultural produce because we're an agricultural country principally.
Kenya is Africa's sixth largest economy, with a GDP of more than $100 billion. Between January and October last year, its main exports were flowers, tea, textile accessories, coffee and fuel, contributing over $5 billion to the economy. In Africa, its main trade partners are nearby: Uganda, Tanzania and Rwanda. Through Expo, Kenyan entrepreneurs believe they can expand further afield.
My name is Jas Bedi. I'm the Managing Director of the Bedi Investments Limited, the Bedi Group, which has got operations in 2 countries. We operate 2 full value chains, a full cotton value chain in Uganda where we contract farmers. In Kenya we run a similar value chain, but the value chain is mainly synthetics, it's polyesters, and we do spinning, weaving, dyeing, finishing, knitting as well, and then we make apparel mainly for export to the US and within the continent of Africa.
Bedi says Expo 2020 opened the doors to new markets.
We see West Africa as a huge opportunity, and West Africa grows a lot of cotton as well. We are of course looking at where the per capita consumption of textiles is the largest. The per capita consumption of textiles in Nigeria is very high. That's a country of preference that we would like to embark on.
While Bedi is looking to Nigeria, Tanzanian entrepreneur Salim Aziz is looking closer to home.
My name is Salim Aziz and I'm the CEO of Bakresa Food Products Limited. We are a diversified company with core business in food manufacturing, but we also have we're in services industries, we are in marine transportation, road transportation, so we are fully diversified across the region.
Aziz hopes that investment into infrastructure and transportation could facilitate growth for his business.
We believe in East Africa the market is growing, and the more open it is, the bigger the market we can exploit.
Tanzania is embarking on a bold plan to rejuvenate its railway network. The East African Railway Master Plan will connect the country with its neighbours, opening new routes and, for Aziz, new opportunities.
So we want to expand across Africa and become a Pan-African company in the coming years. So we're highly ambitious. We're looking at replicating what we've been successful in Tanzania across the region and hopefully across Africa.
Sectors like textiles, logistics and food processing have all benefited from connections made here at Expo. And next we take a look at the fascinating world of diamonds.
We are on a mission to transform our continent and empower African trade to thrive. By accelerating the next generation of African businesses, we can grow stronger, trade further, and transform together. We're bringing Africa together. Afreximbank, transforming Africa's trade.
The journey to the top for a successful business in Africa starts with an idea. But how does a concept become a moneymaker? African and global industry leaders share their stories. On Profit Point in CNN Marketplace Africa, in association with Dangote.
The Tag Heuer Monaco is one of the most iconic designs to have ever come from the Tag Heuer brand. And matter of fact, Heuer was the parent brand before it was bought and ultimately became Tag Heuer in the later part of the 1980s. The Monaco is very interesting because it's a timepiece that is closely associated with racing, and as well as the actor Steve McQueen, who wore a Monaco in the 1971 racing film Le Mans. The earliest Monaco is a reference called the 1133, and specifically Steve McQueen wore the 1133B, and the B stands for blue. So the Monaco, at least the one that McQueen wore, is a blue dial. The watch itself is very iconic, but it's also striking from a perspective of design, but also functionality.
Coronavirus. To get daily news updates in your inbox, sign up for the CNN newsletter. Coronavirus. Fact versus fiction.
Connecting Africa in association with Afreximbank.
Over the last 6 months, African nations have seen Expo 2020 Dubai as a global marketing tool. For Botswana, it presented an opportunity to showcase its most precious commodity. The country is the world's second largest producer of diamonds, with Gaborone-based company Debswana processing more than 22 million carats in 2021. Just last year, the world's second and third largest diamonds were found in Botswana, stones of 1,174 and 1,098 carats respectively. Debswana believes that innovation in the mining industry will lead to further big discoveries.
And that will create more opportunities and investments in order to create more robust value chains around diamonds, and not just exporting the raw commodity, but ensuring that cutting and polishing remains in Botswana in order to boost economic development. And here in Dubai, I caught up with the woman spearheading the Debswana strategy, Managing Director Lynette Armstrong. Let's talk about how you've used Expo as a springboard. Has it been an important marketing tool?
There is the opportunity for diamonds, not only diamonds, but if you look across Botswana in terms of the commodities, setting up business between Botswana, South Africa, I think it's a great environment. There have been a lot of good conversations that have taken place. I think there are good opportunities across Africa. We've got to learn to network more. We've got to make it seamless so that people are able to come through.
And for me, what's fascinating is Botswana is safe, it is secure. I've visited Gaborone many times, and it's truly incredible to see just how big the operations are and just the incredible opportunities. But the biggest issue is capturing the entire value chain.
Definitely, and I think Debswana as an organization has very much realized we've been mining for 50 years. The world is rapidly changing, so how do we put ourselves in a position to ready ourselves for the future? And we've got a new strategy that's just been laid out, and that strategy is saying, what is the life beyond diamonds? How do we innovate? How do we digitize? Do things in a way that we haven't done before. So we're recognizing that what has gotten us here is not what's going to take us forward in the next 10, 20 years.
I want you to give our international audience a sense of the value chain right now. Botswana is the second largest producer by volume globally, but the highest by value. But a lot of the cutting and sorting still actually happens outside of country. Give me a sense of how the value chain works at this point in time.
So, we're very much dealing with raw product. And value chain very much sits outside of the country in terms of cutting and polishing. So I think there are opportunities for us to look into, the midstream and say, how can we play? Is there opportunity to do things differently? I guess it's time to be a bit more serious about it.
I want to talk about marketing diamonds to the rest of the continent, right? We've got the Continental Free Trade Area, which has gone live, but what opportunities are you seeing there in terms of getting Africans to buy African diamonds?
I think, the closest that I can talk to is De Beers opening a store in Botswana a few years ago at our airport. Whilst we didn't ordinarily think that it was something that would work in Botswana or in Africa, surprisingly, the store has done really well. So there is a realization that there is a market in Africa. Without doubt, it is untapped, and it represents an opportunity for the future.
So from the glittering world of diamonds, next we take stock to see just how much progress has been made regarding the African Continental Free Trade Agreement since it went live over a year ago.
We are on a mission to transform our continent and empower African trade to thrive. By accelerating the next generation of African businesses, we can grow stronger, trade further, and transform together. We're bringing Africa together. Afreximbank, transforming Africa's trade.
I'm David Miliband, President and CEO of the International Rescue Committee. The IRC is a non-profit organisation that helps people whose lives are shattered by conflict and disaster. The emergency in Ukraine is the worst humanitarian crisis that Europe has seen since the Second World War. The IRC is on the ground in Ukraine and in Europe, supporting people on the run from the fighting. But we need your help to help them. Visit rescue.org to donate and learn more about our work.
This is CNN. More people get their news from CNN than any other news source.
Connecting Africa in association with Afrexim Bank.
At the heart of Expo 2020 Dubai stands the African Union Pavilion. The organization has a grand vision for the continent called Agenda 2063.
The Africa we want is a big vision. It's a very big vision, and it has a number of flagship projects.
Projects to raise the quality of life, transform and digitize economies, create key infrastructure and empower the next generation of Africans. A key component of this vision is the African Continental Free Trade Area. Signed in 2018, it was implemented by the bloc last year. As the world's largest free trade area, the African Continental Free Trade Area connects African nations and unites around 1.3 billion people, creating a single market, easing the movement of people, goods and capital, and reducing tariffs. Critical steps to unlock trade opportunities for the continent's $3.4 trillion economy.
Some experts say that the Continental Free Trade Agreement is crucial for the continent to achieve Agenda 2063. But getting all countries to agree and sign to a free trade deal was no easy feat because so many countries are moving at different speeds.
The AFCFTA Secretary General Wamkele Mene is raising the profile surrounding the agreement. Despite ongoing hurdles, he says important progress has been made.
We have agreed on rules of origin, and that's a very, very strong start to trading for any regional economic community.
The rules of origin basically establish where an item is from. Under the new African Trade Agreement, that means only African-made products can be freely exchanged across the continent. Products imported from outside the continent are still subject to tariffs.
Around the world, over 6,000 products are traded in terms of the World Customs Harmonized System. And of those 6,000 products, we have agreed as a free trade area on 87.7%.
With these new rules, products like milk, cereals, flour and vegetables will soon be traded freely between African countries. But to see the benefits of that, Mene says the time has come for the private sector to get more involved.
What we do intend to do in the next 3 months is to establish a private sector dialogue, an ongoing platform within the Secretariat where the private sector can tell us exactly where the challenges are in implementation, in accessing new markets, in trade facilitation, in transit of goods.
It's ultimately the private sector that is going to help implement the policy of the African Continental Free Trade Area to ensure its ultimate success. And that's why the African Union, together with the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, came up with Afro Champions, all in an aim to build strong, multinational, African-owned businesses.
It's a challenge accepted by Afro Champions co-chair Edem Azogenu.
Afro Champions' focus is really driving integration, looking at what businesses are doing that can allow them to innovate, to scale, to transform, and to go global. The emergence of what could become the African Samsungs, the African GEs, the African Microsoft, others.
Achieving all this requires investment. Azogenu says that by connecting with hundreds of African business leaders, Afro Champions is obtaining the resources it needs.
The idea was to catalyze the investment of about $100 billion a year for the next 10 years to go into strategic projects that will accelerate Africa's integration and common market. Expo gives us the classic opportunity to do that.
However, challenges do still remain. Infrastructure is a major stumbling block to Pan-African growth. We'll take a closer look at that next, when we speak to the players who are reaping the rewards, navigating the challenges and blazing the trail for further integration.
are on a mission to transform our continent and empower African trade to thrive. By accelerating the next generation of African businesses, we can grow stronger, trade further, and transform together. We're bringing Africa together. Afreximbank, transforming Africa's trade.
You can help the refugees from Ukraine. Join the over 70,000 who've already raised millions for food, shelter, and more. Explore cnn.com/impact. Click to take action.
We follow the news as it happens and where it happens. And then we also take a step back to walk the viewer through the day's news. That's the mission of Hala Garani tonight.
Connecting Africa in association with Afreximbank.
To discuss how the private sector is gearing up for the AfCFTA, I've invited two advocates of Africa's economic integration, Kola Karim and Paul Gomes.
Hey, Eleni.
How are you?
Hi.
Lovely to see you.
Gomes heads the financial side of Afro Champions, helping African corporations access funds. Karim is the CEO of Shoreline Energy International, a large multinational Nigerian-based power and energy producer. I've known them since I started my career in Africa. A couple of moments to take our seats, and we're finally ready for the chat.
Gentlemen, great to see you.
See you.
Welcome to Dubai.
Thanks.
Okay, so Paul, I want to start off with you. I want to talk about what Afro Champions has been doing over the past year, and also how you've now launched an investment vehicle.
Yeah, we continue to be an advocacy institution. As you know, our main goal was how to create more Afro Champions company. You know, you have this EcoBank, Dangote, the Access Bank, Askai, MTN.
We want more of these,
We want
right?
more
We
of
want
them because, you know,
African
we have the
champions.
Agenda 2063, which is very important, but the main driver of this regional integration would be companies. And we shouldn't shy away of the fact that we need to help create those champions. You need more African multinational, because this African multinational goes also with a set of people, Ghanaian, Nigerian, Guinean, Gabonese, that work into these companies. So the all set of knowledge and capital. So we need to multiply these multinational African companies.
Yeah, we've seen some amazing tech companies, but we still rely on the industrialists of Africa. Kola, good to have you on. Look, you're in oil and gas. It's interesting to see just how many cycles you've been able to survive. But you also understand the importance on focusing on purely African-owned businesses that are, you know, making a big impact on the continent.
The thing is, we've been through an amazing cycle globally, looking at pandemic. It's shown where opportunities are post-pandemic. And today we're seeing the resurging position around oil and gas and natural resources right across board. And that's all connected, where the world is going. And if you look at Africa itself, Africa's got a big dependency on natural resources, but that's what's got to change. And that's where the champions need to focus on beautifying our natural resources on the continent and creating those jobs on the continent. And so we could stop being just pure exporters of natural resources and raw materials.
I was going to say, we need to increase the value chains. We need to be refining our oil and gas. We need to be thinking more about capturing more of that value chain. I want to talk in terms of, you know, the granular impact of the Continental Free Trade Area and whether you've seen a significant change since it went live beginning of last year. Have you seen an impact, Paul?
Well, we just started. The trade have started, and the whole architecture has been in place. Not easy to get 50-something Africa countries to agree. I don't think we will go at the same speed. Some countries will be much more quicker. The leadership will be much more proactive. We have seen how Rwanda has been very, very key in pushing. But it's happening.
It's happening, but I'm saying, you know, is it just conversation, or are you seeing anything different in terms of the way we're doing business, Kola?
Africans are opening the doors more to other Africans, and the talk is not only on the government-to-government level, it's more on the business-to-business, peer-to-peer level. But be that as it may, look, Nigeria is the largest economy on the continent, and it's very important. Nigeria had to take its time to open its door.